Parent-teacher conferences do not have to be a stressful or frustrating experience. In fact, these meetings can be productive and insightful in helping you connect with your parents and learn just a little bit more about your students. In this video, I will be sharing 5 tips for teachers to make your parent conference go smoothly and successfully. Last week, I talked to parents about ways they can be more prepared for the parent-teacher conference. So if you're a parent and you've not seen part 1 of the series Parent-Teacher Conference, go ahead and give it a watch after you've watched this video. Hello everyone, I'm Jackie from Going Beyond the Classroom, and this channel is all about ways you can be successful in school and in life. Okay teachers, let's get started. Tip number 1, be prepared. You will want to be sure that you have all the items that you need for your parent-teacher conference ready and available. Things like the parent sign-in sheet, attendance records, student behavior charts, as well as the student folders will be handy for you to have as a reference as you begin to communicate with your parents. Also, this is a great opportunity for you to go ahead and update parent information such as their current cell phone number and email addresses. Now, it's normal to be a little nervous, so I recommend that you create a note card to have each of your students' information that you want to make sure you share with your parents. So I created a little one here just to use as an example. So we have Jonathan that's in 3A, and I noted a few bullets here that I wanted to share with the parent regarding Jonathan. So we want to start with something positive. So the first item is behavior. That Jonathan is an excellent student. His behavior is always on point. So we want to make sure the parents are aware of that. And then under attendance, I noted that Jonathan has been tardy 5 times in the past 2 weeks. So that is an opportunity to discuss or get some feedback from your parent as to why Jonathan may have been tardy so many times just recently. And if they're having car problems or things like that, they can share that. But if Jonathan is being dropped off in time enough to make it to class on time, that would also be something that the parent may want to discuss with Jonathan. The next bullet says academics. Now we see here that Jonathan seems to be struggling with summarization. However, he's performing well and doing really good with map skills and social studies. So what we want to do at the end is provide a goal for Jonathan that you can communicate with the parent. So I just put down that to provide Jonathan with more opportunities to read, to focus on identifying summaries and stories, as well as using a variety of graphic organizers. Since Jonathan is doing really well with maps and charts, the opportunity to provide him with being able to put a summary in a graphic format might be helpful for him to master that particular skill of summarization. Tip number 2, be organized. You want to make sure that you have student work displayed, that your classroom is free of clutter, and you may even want to ask a colleague or one of your administrators to come in and take a look at your classroom to make sure that things look in order for your parents. You also may want to provide healthy snacks or beverages. And if you anticipate parents bringing their child or perhaps other children, you want to create space in your classroom to where those children can have table room to read books, work on puzzles, have manipulatives, as well as board games even to help them stay occupied so your time can be uninterrupted and those distractions can be minimized. Tip number 3, be honest. I understand that there may be some situations that you may have to convey some not so pleasant news or some sensitive information to your parents, but you have to be able to share that with them. It is your responsibility to be upfront and candid while keeping a positive tone while you're sharing that with your parents. And it's not always what you say, but oftentimes it's how you say it to be able to get the message across in a positive way. If the discussion starts to go in a negative direction, however, you do want to go ahead and conclude the parent conference and ask for the opportunity to reconvene at another time. And during the next conference, you may want to have an administrator present if you anticipate that there may be some negative exchanges. Tip number 4, be flexible. In many school districts, parent-teacher conference nights are predetermined in the academic calendar, but there may be times when your parent may not be able to make those conference times. And so you want to make yourself available, be understanding, and come up with the time that you and your parent can meet to be able to have that conversation about your student. Tell them your planning period, remind them of your planning period, as well as when you might be available either before school or after school to be able to accommodate your parents' schedule. And finally, tip number 5, be willing to ask for help. You don't want to make any assumptions that your parents are too busy or maybe even that they just don't care. And so you want to invite them to be a part of you making sure that your students are on the right track to being successful in your classroom. Remember that you are a partner with the parents, and so the both of you together make a great team in making sure that your students are being successful. I remember one year I was teaching 3rd grade and I had a student who was being raised by his grandfather. And so I didn't really want to bother the grandfather, but the student was struggling and I was collecting data and student work because I was considering having the student tested for special education. The test was coming up in Texas at that time. It was a tax test. And I was trying to make sure the student, if he needed modifications or accommodations, that if he qualified, he would be able to receive those services. But the grandfather was more than willing to help his grandson on weekends. So every Friday, I would send packets home, reading passages, and I showed the grandfather the strategies that I was using in class to help the students. And we did that week after week after week. And in the spring semester, that young man took that test and he was focused and on task, and he passed the state test. I was so excited. It was one of the most rewarding feelings I've had as a teacher. And so we just celebrated. I ran out and bought medallions and we had a party. And I just thought, wow, I held on to his paperwork for a whole year. And because of his dedication to doing well, and the parents, and in his case, grandfather, assisting with making sure he learned the material, he was able to be successful. So don't be afraid to invite your parents to help you to assist your students in being successful. So I want to hear from you. Did I miss anything? I'm sure there are a lot more tips that you can share to help us teachers get along and be prepared and be successful in parent conferences. So teachers, drop me a line in the comment section and let me know if there are any things that I missed, anything that you feel that is important to be able to be ready and be prepared for your parent-teacher conferences. And good luck, and I will see you in my next video.